Now that you've received your sample collection kit, I want to go over a couple of things of how to collect the samples and some frequently asked questions that we normally get. So you should have received your envelope with a couple of things inside. The first should be a little clear baggie that you should have a little white area to go ahead and put your first and last name as well as your date of birth. We cannot process your samples unless it is labeled with first and last name as well as your date of birth. So please be aware of that. Secondly, you should have received a nice little kit that has 2 cotton swabs that are sterile as of right now. One's going to be used for urine. The other one's going to be used for saliva. I want to make sure that you understand that they're not both going to be used for the same sample. And then what you may or may not have in your sample collection kit is a consent form. So this consent form will actually have the directions of how to label everything that we're going to be going over in this video for you, as well as a place to sign and date to make sure that you've received it and you consent to sending in your samples for us to test. So if you do have the physical form, please fill it out. Make sure that you sign and date. If you are a parent signing it for a child, make sure that you're filling out their information as well as yours, and you will actually send it in the self-addressed envelope and send it back to us. If you do not have the physical form, then you most likely have a little card that says, gives a specific link of where you need to go in order to fill out your form electronically, which makes it a lot easier and a lot faster for us to process. So how do you collect these? As you will notice, the form is called an HNUS form. HNUS stands for hair, nail, urine, and saliva. The first thing you're going to do when it comes to your hair is that if you do have head hair, what I want you to do is grab either a comb or whatever you use to brush your hair, make sure that there's no hair in it. Go ahead and brush through your hair a couple of times, and the hair that comes out from there, which should be at least 8 to 10 strands or more, we refer to those as fallout hair. I don't want you to go grab it and cut your hair. Please don't do that for these samples. But just get your fallout hair. Make sure you put it in the sample collection bag. And then the next thing you'll be collecting are nails. So this can be a mixture or not of fingernails and or toenails. So I only need about anywhere from 5 to 10 pieces. Yes, if you have nail polish on them, you can send them in with nail polish. If you have acrylic nails, as long as there is your actual nail on the acrylic, you can also send those in. So don't be freaked out about that. And if you just cut your nails and you need to use your toenails, totally fine. We only need about 5 to 10 pieces, minimum of 5, max of 10. If you want to send more than that, you're more than welcome to if you feel that you want to or need to. Then after you collect those, you'll go ahead and put it in the same sample bag. Once you're done with that, you'll have your 2 cotton swabs. So you'll go ahead and open it up. The first cotton swab you'll use is for saliva. So you'll go ahead and grab it, put it in your mouth. Swab your cheeks. You should have more than enough saliva on there. You're going to go ahead and grab this and put it into your sample bag, like so. Once you're done with that, you will take the remaining swab and take it to the restroom with you, because this one will be for urine. So as soon as you start urinating and you have a good stream, all you're going to do is grab your cotton swab, put it in the stream, make sure, dust it off a little bit, make sure it's not leaking like a crazy person. And then once you're done with that and it has your urine on there, you're going to go ahead and put that lastly in your sample collection bag. Once you're done collecting all of your samples, make sure that the clasp on here is completely tied off and clasped. Please make sure again that your name, first and last, and date of birth are on the bag. Once you're done with this, if you have your physical form that's filled out, you'll go ahead and grab these 2 and put it in the self-addressed envelope back to us. It's literally that simple. If you need the e-form, yours didn't come with the physical one, then you'll have a card in there giving you the exact website to go ahead and fill it out. And I want to just go over some frequently asked questions that most people have when collecting their samples. First is, do all of the samples go into the same bag? The answer is yes. They will all go into one clear bag as shown here. Second is, do you have to write your first and last name as well as your date of birth on the bag? Absolutely. We will not process your samples without it being labeled. So please make sure you will delay processing of your samples and therefore your tests and results if you don't labeled it appropriately. Very simple. Next thing is, what if I just cut my nails? Well, if you just cut your nails, that's okay. We only need about 5 nail clippings. So whether you get them, again, from your fingernails or your toenails, doesn't matter to us. If you want to send more, you're fine to feel free to do so. If your nails are painted, again, we'll accept it. If they're on acrylics, we'll accept it as long as it's not just acrylic nail. It needs to have your, your actual nail combined with the acrylic or gels. Can you send each sample in a different Ziploc bag? Yes, you can. There's no need to, so you can put them all in the same bag, but if for whatever reason your mind is not allowing you to get back past putting them all in one baggie, then absolutely feel free to put every single sample in a separate Ziploc bag that you have at home. The caveat to that is you have to make sure that every single bag is labeled with your first and last name and your date of birth. Just because this one is labeled doesn't mean that all other 3 can come unlabeled without your first name and last name and date of birth, because still we don't know whose they are. So they have to be adequately labeled. That's the only caveat. Again, they don't have to be in separate baggies, which is why we only give you one. Does the hair have to be head hair? Some people are balding or they shave their head, and that's perfectly fine as long as it's not the only place that you have hair. So if you have other bodily hair, yes, it can be armpit, yes, it can be arm, leg hair, and yes, it can be that hair too. As long as we get about 5 to 8 strands in there, you're good to go. So wherever they come from, as long as they are yours, you can put them in the collection bag and you're perfect. Well, what if you're sick? Should you wait to collect your samples? This is a great question. We get it often. If you're sick or not, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything with your samples. So go ahead, feel free and collect them, even if you're feeling under the weather, and send them in. For females, what if it's that time of the month? And, you might get a little bit of menstrual blood on the swab for urine. Totally fine. A little bit of blood never killed anybody. All bodily fluid has DNA in it. That's actually why we collect it. So feel free to go ahead and collect that and put it in the bag as well. You don't have to wait until after menstruation to send in your samples. So these are just some of the questions we want to make sure that you guys understand, that yes, you can still send them in. If you have any other questions around this, feel free to reach out. That way we can get all of them answered for you. But once you're done, again, just go ahead and send your samples back in the self-addressed envelope for the quickest processing. Make sure your name and date of birth are on there. If it's an electronic form, please read through it. Make sure that you collect everything precisely as filled out on the form and this video. And then after you send them back, you will hear from us or your practitioner in terms of what the next steps are for processing, testing, and getting your scan results. Thank you.